Welcome to Professor Job's Learning Campus. I am very happy to present before you an abridged version of a digitally interactive session conducted for the benefit of the faculty of Kumara Engineering College in South India. It is well known that the quality of higher education has been watered down considerably by a skewed rote memory oriented examination system. The COVID pandemic has worsened it further. This discussion debates critically the feasibility of using multiple choice questions for assessing the higher order thinking levels of the students. I hope the teaching fraternity will appreciate the message contained in this discussion. Tests have a dual and complementary role: measurement of the quality of learning outcomes and also as a means for recent learning. Now over to the session, but don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.
Our challenge is, without the physical presence of the students, how we will be able to deliver or do the teaching learning process with appropriate delivery methods. And once delivery is done, how to evaluate their performance so that we can give them a feedback to improve their performance. Nowadays, most of the good institutions are following objective-oriented pedagogical models. And the third one, which is very, very important, is the ability to use it when needed. That is the application side of it. What is the use in having a lot of knowledge, being a very erudite person, but still if you are not able to use it, if the society does not get any benefit out of that. So over a period of time, the focus of education, the objective of education has shifted from having a command of knowledge to the ability to apply the knowledge and use it for the benefit of the society. So these three things we have to keep it in mind while designing an education system, especially the evaluation system. Another challenge that we are facing is objectives of the content can be delivered to the student. So that depends on our design of instructional method. And the third one is, of course, test. We are going to find out whether our instructional methods were effective. Are we teaching as per outcome objectives? Outcome means, are we teaching as per the objectives? Second is, are we teaching what is taught? We can design a lot of tests, but if these things are not handled in the class or shared with the students, can we really go in for testing those norms? Certainly not. So we have to test what has been taught, not only in delivering instructional methods, but also when we design them. As I told you, in industry, there were quality gurus. In education also, there were many pioneers who were focusing on how to improve the quality of education. Theoretically, many people like maybe Piaget, Vygotsky. But any pedagogical model, that is how a teacher should interact with the students for effective learning to happen. For that, I would mention at least 3 or 4 pioneers as experts in the field. One is, of course, Benjamin Bloom, into rote learning, R, you can see in the right side, rote learning, lower order learning, L, and then higher order. So here I have shown 4 higher orders. Opinions will change. Some educationists would like to put application also as a lower order. But so far as Bloom's original taxonomy is concerned, I feel only comprehension should belong to the low, and all others like application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation should belong to the higher order thinking. Should be focused on how much higher order thinking, cognitive level, can be achieved by the delivery and also how much of that can be measured by designing appropriate tests. So the outcome of the learning can be classified as rote, lot, hot, as per Bloom's taxonomy, which was originated in 1956. Bloom was a Chicago University professor. Along with some 40 people, he thought he should he should have a method by which the outcome of the students' learning could be measured, so that there will be a common language for the teachers to design their tests. And he originally meant it for college teachers, college faculty, but it was grabbed by the teachers of the school level, because for them it was very, very convenient. It was being used by the schools and a few colleges, and they were very happy with it because they were not having any system till then to find out whether they are achieving their objectives. So here I have shown the Bloom's taxonomy model, original, 1956, which you are very well aware, terminology, specific facts, and all that knowledge part, and the comprehension. And the final thing is the evaluation. As the arrow shows, as we climb up the steps, we are going higher and higher in the learning process. And for using this, the original Bloom's taxonomy came up with about 60 words. I have listed it over here. Knowledge, if it is knowledge, define, name, state, recall, list, recognize, like that. And the ultimate evaluation, judge, evaluate, determine, support. Like that, a lot of words were identified. Why I am stressing this point is, these words will be useful for us when we are framing test. Revised Bloom's taxonomy came into existence with the effort of Krathwohl and Anderson and a group of cognitive psychologists and educationists. And the final book came in 2001. Revised Bloom's taxonomy came after getting the feedback of the teachers that maybe the original Bloom's taxonomy requires some kind of modification. So you will find that the revised Bloom's taxonomy is given in 2 dimensions in this table. Actually, in original taxonomy, there is no table like this because it is a single dimension. Here it is 2 dimensions, so you are going to relate one to the other. So the horizontal, that is the rows what you are seeing, and the columns what you are seeing represent 2 separate things. The columns are the cognitive process dimension. It starts with remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. There also I have divided this into rote, lot, and hot. Not done by the original designers of this model, but many educations are doing this for the purpose of implementing it in a very easy manner. So rote means rote memory. Remember is rote, just like our original Bloom's taxonomy. The lot is a lower order. Here I have included apply also as lower order. Some people can object. And the higher order is analyze, evaluate, and create. How these are related to the knowledge dimension, which is coming in the rows, horizontal. So the knowledge dimension is now divided into 4 compartments, sections: factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive. The first 3, factual, conceptual, and procedural, were mentioned in the original Bloom's taxonomy also in their first knowledge section. But metacognitive was a new entry according to Anderson. We are going to think about the mind, the intangible. That is how the teacher thinks or how the students think about the learning process. So that factor also was brought in by adding another section, that is metacognitive. Objective for delivery, we can map it in this table. But in the original taxonomy, this kind of mapping is not there. There are other learning models, but today we will confine only to these two, but specifically to Bloom's taxonomy, which you have been practicing. One good thing about Bloom's taxonomy is it is very simple, just unidimensional, one dimension. But here also I would like to add, Bloom meant that the knowledge in a very wider dimension, not only remember. If you really adopting revised Bloom's taxonomy, things are much clear, clarity is there about the type of knowledge. Now here, this is the structure of knowledge dimension in revised Bloom's taxonomy. What is a factual knowledge? Terminology, specific details and definitions. Because we teachers are very fond of asking questions limited to terminologies or definitions. We will say, define something. Are we really measuring the ability of the students to do some critical thinking if you are asking that? But the conceptual knowledge is very, very important, because the real understanding will start with understanding conceptuals. Procedural is the skills and all that. And metacognitive, as I told you, it is strategic knowledge. That is, what are the learning strategies that we should take depending on individual differences? Why these MCQs? Because I'm told that now Anna University has decided that maybe MCQs are the best way of evaluating the students' performance in this pandemic era. To a very great extent, they are correct. But let us have a view on what are the good things and then the bad things about MCQs. Don't think that it is a panacea, it is a cure for all of our ailments in education. So the advantages of MCQ is, if the item writers, see, you just see the word. I have not used the word question writers. Many of us brand somehow MCQ means multi-choice questions. So it is not a question. That will come a little later, why they are called not question writers, but item writers. So if the item writers are well trained and items are equally quality assured, it can be very effective testing method. See, two conditions are there. Second is, students find multiple choice questions less ambiguous, more clarity is there. Here also, I will add a condition. More clarity is there if the item writer has labored to make very much familiar with RBT. What are the disadvantages? With MCQs, you cannot measure all types of knowledge which can be tested with essay or short answer questions. You definitely cannot do that. If you are designed it properly, maybe you can go near it, but never an essay question cannot be replaced by a MCQ. So when we are opting MCQ, we are sacrificing something, a debit and credit. Naturally, if you want to gain something, there is a pain somewhere else. So we are sacrificing something on that. Then problem solving and higher order reasoning are better assessed through short answers and essay. Because just with one word answers and all that, it is very difficult. But then the examiner should toil very hard to make it nearly possible to assess such things also. I'm not telling it is impossible, but it is a very difficult task. So if some of you feel that I cannot go into evaluation or synthesis and all that, don't get dejected. That is the norm. But that should prompt you to put more efforts to somehow improve the quality of our questions in such a way that we are nearing or we are almost covering the higher order level thinkings also. the types of MCQs. There are different types of MCQs. In fact, what I would like to add is, see, all knowledge are propositions. See, propositions, see, some of these technical words I'll be sharing with you. Knowledge is proposition, means proposition is a statement of fact that this is something like this. For instance, you are telling Earth is a satellite of Sun. So that is a proposition, that is a statement of fact. Anybody objects to that? If somebody objects to that, then that is not a proposition. So when you are framing an MCQ under true and false, you have got to make sure that what you are stating as true or false, either way it can happen, are true propositions. The second is fill in the blanks. In fact, the statements, it is easy to frame, but it does not measure much of the depth and breadth of the knowledge. Fill in the blanks, same thing. So try to avoid these two things if you already have a suggestion. Match the pairs. See, these things are for at the school level. So this also try to avoid. And the last one, the fourth one, is multiple choices, which will give you a lot of flexibility in deciding the breadth and depth of the content, the knowledge, the level at which you would like the students to learn. So today we will stick to only the fourth one. We will not handle true or false or fill in the blanks or match the pairs. We will confine to the fourth, multiple choice, only in this discussion. But if you want to do the other things, I am showing how a MCQ can be structured. So any design has got a theory behind it. So I thought I will explain to you what is a structure, how a MCQ can be structured, and kindly make sure that your MCQs are structured more or less in this model. The first part is a stem of an MCQ. In fact, at least two of the samples which were sent, the stem could not be identified. Stem is statement identifying a problem. It should be there. We are not going for fill in the blanks and all that. So this statement should be very clear, cogent. The students should be able to understand it very clearly. See, I'm deviating a little bit, because if some of us believe that education is for the purpose of selection, that is, select the best, that is not true. See, if you want to admit IIT students, out of 2 lakhs, only some 30,000 seats are there, then it is selection. But our educational process in institutions like yours is not a selection process. We would like to see the way that the students are able to use their thinking skills. There will be gradients in that. See, all the students are not expected to become professors of engineering colleges. They will be good in so many other skills. So let us not look down upon people who are not cognitively very advanced as some others. I will call them cognitively challenged people. So when we are designing a question for an MCQ, we should take care of the needs of the wide spectrum of the students, the weaker students, maybe the medium, the higher, and of course the cream students. So there must be good discrimination between this type of students. So when you are making a statement, identifying a problem, first of all, you have to visualize for whom I am intending this question to be directed at. Do I want the lower group of the students to answer this, or I want the higher cream of the students to answer this? But whatever is your target students, the statement should be very clear. So the students who are handicapped with the vocabulary, they should not find it difficult to answer your question. So the statement should be very clear. And a set of alternative solution containing the key set of alternate solutions should be there. So some of our MCQs, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally 4. I would say 3 are better. But our style now, because all these competitive entrance exams are all giving 4. So these are literally struggling to find out the 4th option. So they will do something on the 4th. Why not we have a good 3 options rather than a clumsy 4 options? So the idea is, the key is one correct answer and the distractors are the wrong answers. Here 3 distractors are there, one key. We will soon discuss what should be the qualities of a distractor. So how we are going to frame the MCQs? The first requirement is a table of specification. This one has got to do it. Whoever is the question paper framer, is assigned to give the exam, the questions, he or she should prepare first a table of specification. And just like you have got a question bank, I will say there must be an item bank. But the item banks will not appear just by cut and paste. See, mostly we teachers survive, including me. We survive by going into the previous questions and adapting that to suit our requirements. We are not very good innovators. We teachers are not very good innovators. We never invent a new question, most of us. There are exceptions. But if you are really doing an MCQ, I think you must be an exception in the sense, sir, there must be a thinking process behind a wrong answer. So I think you should write more about the wrong answers, write down wrong answers. Maybe you can call or now discuss with the student why you have given that wrong answer. If such an exercise, please don't, so I am asking you to do something else. But if you are true to our profession, I think at least a little bit of these kind of things we should do. Why students have gone wrong in their answers. And if you are jotting it down, every week if you are jotting it down, you will be finding you are sitting upon a treasure of MCQs. Because, see, the right answer you want only one, that any textbook will give you. What you want is wrong answers in the sense that in our thinking process, how we can be misled into wrong answers. That are those are the distractors. When you design an MCQ, your difficulty will be to identify the distractors. Later, when some examples we will discuss, you will be finding out how the teachers are desperate to find out distractors, especially the 4th one. So item bank is not making it on one day. It is a kind of a career goal. If you are a teacher, especially some of you must be fresh teachers, kindly make it a habit to jot it down every day or every week, what you have experienced as a kind of feedback from the students. Focus on the wrong answers. How you can lead the students from the wrong answers to the right answers. That is the challenge of a good teacher. Now, a sample for each category, that is hot, lot. I am leaving the rot part of it. Because remembering side, you know, the lower order, rot memory sort of thing anybody can do. Anybody can do. So it is not a challenging one. So higher order, lower order and higher order. Lower order will start with understanding or comprehension in this Bloom's taxonomy, original Bloom's taxonomy. And higher orders are the remaining 3. Even application in the, see what I've shown is, application I have included in the higher order so far as the Bloom's original taxonomy is concerned. Because remember my second slide, the purpose of education is to apply the knowledge. So the application side, if you are able to get it, then kindly use it for framing your questions. So prepare some sample questions, set the question paper, timing, check the timing. That is, so check the timing, then vetting is required. Somebody has got to vet it. See, don't think that because we are very knowledgeable people, our questions are also perfect. We should hand over to somebody, authorized people. Maybe in the department, if everything is found to be okay, release to COE. So this is the process of framing MCQs. So preparation of table of specifications I will deal with separately. Now, while designing MCQs, I have given some 5 important suggestions. First of all, the items of a multiple choice test are wrongly referred as questions. They are not questions. Many items are not phrased as questions. Example, analogies, incomplete sentences, mathematical equations. So more general term is item, not questions. So I hope we can justify the word item rather than the question. So it gives you a lot of freedom. Use familiar language. I've seen some beware of your language. Use familiar language. But at the same time, we should not quote from a textbook. Just cut and paste a textbook paragraph or line so that those students will be who have read that particular section will be having an additional advantage. Please don't do that. Please ask yourself whether at least 50% of the students, or make it a little less, 40%, 30%. I'm not talking about the type of question which is meant for the cream of the students, which I'll be coming a little later. But most of the questions should be answerable by at least 50% of that. Pre-planned difficulty levels. You have got to decide on difficulty levels. Maybe you can classify into 3 levels or 4 levels, so that you can say that this particular question is targeted at these type of students. Now, when we are designing the STEM, what are the things that we should take care of? First of all, express the full problem in the STEM. So I have seen some of the STEM, some of the solutions are appearing in the distractors. It should not be like that. Choose at least one science question. Kindly make it sure that STEM questions are there. I'll be showing you some of that. Identify the level of complexity as per BT. As per your Bloom's taxonomy, those 6 levels, you have got to identify that. It will be easy for you to do it, provided you are writing your objectives of your each class, 5 or 6 objectives, so that those objectives will immediately help you to frame your question. That should be the process. Rather than our examination system, this is the problem. The examination, the nature of the examination will decide how students should learn. So question papers become a guide on how to learn. There is no harm in that, provided the questions are framed based on objectives. Ask yourself if the students would be able to answer the question even without looking at the option. See, this is very important, the distractors, but whether still a student is able to answer that, then your question is the best. But sometimes it is not possible. The type of questions are there that I will come a little later. But this is one of the tests that you can have. Some of the most effective MCQ questions call for the best answer. See, call for the best answer. See, one truth. So selecting the best answer is a best MCQ. Designing such a question. I hope you will make a pledge that at least one of your question will be that. I am not asking all. At least you will make one of your question like that. Select the best answer. That will put all relevant material in the step, which we have told you earlier. Do not repeat in each of the alternate information. There are several examples you have to take with diagrams that I will explain a little later. But don't stuff with a lot of narration in your MCQ. Eliminate excessive wording and irrelevant information from the STEM. Designing of the alternatives. See, as I told you earlier, there are 3 components. So, first is the generally about the MCQ, second is the STEM, then the third is the designing of the alternatives. Limit the number of alternatives to preferably 3, or make sure that there is only one best answer. Make the distractors appealing and plausible. So the distractors also should be seen as the real answer is there, but the distractors appears very beautiful. So you may fall in for that. That is a trap. But don't put tricky questions. But if you can design such questions, that will be good. Words like all above, none of the above, and unpredictable. I have seen, I've got some samples now to show you. When they are struggling for the fourth choice, they will put either all the above, none of the above, or unpredictable. Actually, in MCQ, it is not allowed. And from using words such as always, never, all, or none. Avoid questions of the form, which of the following statements is correct? First of all, writing a statement itself is very difficult task, a statement. So avoid such kind of things. The statements that do not provide good answers to the STEM. Example, a student who selects the correct response to a MCQ by eliminating the incorrect response demonstrates useful achievement. This is a very good thing which we should encourage. That is, eliminate the incorrect answers. Suppose you are giving 4 choices. The students will be able to say 3 are not there. Then even if he does not know whether the 4th is correct, he can always choose that. That is one of the best MCQ questions. Examine critically these questions and classify, which I am going to show you as good, bad, or according to your perceptions on what we have discussed. And map it on BT cognition level. See, I have not done that. BT, that is Bloom's taxonomy, your single dimension Bloom's taxonomy, you please mark it. Can you do that? Now, the next one is, if you write B as the answer, almost 80% you will be correct. All above, none of the above, and unpredictable. I have seen, I've got some samples now to show you. If questions of the form, which of the following statements is correct? First of all, writing a statement itself is very difficult task, a statement. So avoid such kind of things. The statements that do not provide good answers to the STEM, question often make good distractors. That is, the statement appears to be very true. I think one of them who selects the correct response to a MCQ by eliminating the incorrect response demonstrates useful achievement. This is a very good thing which we should encourage. That is, eliminate the incorrect answers. Suppose you are giving 4 choices. The students will be able to say 3 are not there. Then even if he does not know whether the 4th is correct, he can always choose that. That is one of the best MCQ questions. So we can go in for that. Examine critically these questions and classify. Now here, I request these questions which I am going to show you as good, bad, or according to your perceptions on what we have discussed. Item number 1, subject strength of materials. So maybe civil engineers and teachers of civil engineering can try this. See, this I have taken randomly from some university question papers. The design of a beam is based on strength criteria if the beam is sufficiently strong to resist. Now we are given the distractors and the correct answer, key, four choices. Shear force, deflection, both C and B, and none of the above. Answer A is given. So according to whether, based on the norms which you have discussed, this is actual question from a university. So you can classify whether it is, if you are there, will you accept it as a good question? Taxonomy, what level it comes? Does it go to our lowest level, which is in the single dimension, it is knowledge level, or some of you may be thinking as a remember level, or is it is comprehension or understanding? KC A squared SC, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So where it belongs to. Now we are coming to creating a table of specification, which I told you that table of specification is one of the first steps that one should do. The test constructor should draw up an outline of a table of specification indicating the following. I will show you the table. So it has got difficulty task, cognitive level task under BT, inclusiveness, of cognitively challenged students, incorporating STEM questions, considering time factor for answering. Anyway, once you see the table, things may be more clear. Table is very, very simple. So you have to give some weightage to different categories of cognition. So suppose here, hypothetically, I given this, knowledge level is only 20. See, a institution having a high caliber students, like an IIT, maybe knowledge level should be practically 0. But a middle tier institutions like yours should certainly have some element of knowledge in that. Otherwise, we will be doing injustice to the students who are coming from rural areas, who are not very strong in the language and other inhibitions. So I think a college like yours should have a knowledge of about 20. If you feel you should increase it or decrease it, please do it. Comprehension 30, application and analysis I put together, and synthesis only 10, because in a single dimension, that is in a Bloom's taxonomy, you will find it difficult to frame questions under synthesis or evaluation. Maybe just 1 or 2 questions you can make it in a question paper. That is why it has been reduced. And naturally, if you see average students, above average students, high caliber, and cream students. Cream students are those students who already possess the knowledge. They are looking forward for something which is extraordinary, which is not available even in textbooks. So to them also you should satisfy. So some percentage you should reserve for that. I put stars just to show the focusing. Knowledge, we are focusing 3 stars on average and above average. And comprehension, average is there and higher. Application and analysis you will be finding, cream also it is there. But synthesis and evaluation mostly targeted at a higher end of the format for question paper. After this, after framing the questions, question numbers will be there. You have to map it, enter it into this format, each question. So this has been done in this model. So actual the first column is question paper numbers 1, 3, 5, 6, say like that. Actually, this is based on one question from one set of questions from a college. I asked the teachers to map it and they have done it. And this is actual percentage, even though the average student should get around 30, 35. It was a little more. Medium 42, high 15, and challenging, that is the cream, is 5. So this is the actual one. If there is not too much of variation, don't bother. And BT mapping also is given. Comprehension, question number 1 and 3. Application 5. So question number also is specified. What is the advantage? And you have got a checklist for that. So somebody should vet it. A senior person should vet it. Now, what are the types of higher order level questions? Because we were thirsty for higher order questions. We found that we are barren in higher order question. We are not having higher order question. Most of the questions were rot or lot at most. But it refused to climb the higher stairs. So I have given here only science as an example, because science means all of you can understand. We are not partial to any particular department. A good higher order question will be compare and contrast, like difference between weather and climate, camera and eye, decision for or against. See, evaluation, synthesis evaluation is coming. So you have to frame the question and force the student to answer, make a decision this way or that way. Will air serve as well as oil in a hydraulic press? A science question. Why should we use oil in a hydraulic press or in a car control? Why not air? Air is also being used, but there are some differences. Application of facts and principles already learned. Classification. See, the classification is very good at the knowledge levels for BT, Bloom's taxonomy, original. relationship involving cause and effect. That is very, very important, cause and effect. So if you can somehow say, what is the difference between first law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics? So the question takes a different quality. Inference from data. You are giving some data, so inference, then discussion, present arguments for against it, against climate change. Outline, a method of removing stains, summary. Synthesis is actually a kind of summary. I am giving some examples now. There may be fault in these kind of examples. Most of these I myself have framed it as an illustration. See, electrical engineering. I will show it fully so that you will not have any doubt. See, there are 3 types of lights, and I'm showing all the light. If in case somebody has not seen LED or incandescent. Now, incandescent lamps are very rare, you know. So fluorescent lamp. So 3 have been given, and how their energy is being dispersed across various frequencies also is given. I told you earlier, if you remember, that the questions are a means of learning. Means of learning. So questions are not only for testing, but it will help the students to learn if it is not a screening examination. And yours is not a screening examination. This will give a lot of information to the students, and based on that, now you are going to ask some questions. See, so students will have to be given 5 minutes to at least see the graphs and all that, and see where something incandescent, you know, where it peaks, visible light and all that. I'm not explaining that. Those in electrical know this. So you can frame 3 or 4 alternatives based on that. So BT level I have already given as comprehension. So again, testing as a learning process. So in this I have not prepared it. Already they are giving a DNA sequencing process. Now, say DNA sequence is done. So the question from that university, they have given how the DNA sequencing is done. Actually, that picture is a little more elaborate. I have only cut a part of it. But a very wonderful question, but there is something wrong also. Now, DNA sequencing is done by some methods. 3 methods are given, but then you see the third one, both A and B. And D is a very horrible choice, Watson and Crick. See, DNA sequencing is done by Watson and Crick, but then maybe he has found out the original structure. But how Watson, here, why the teacher added the 5th one is because he or she was not having the 5th one. So in a way, this question is very good because it is a learning process. In a way, it is bad because the 4th choice is not at all good. Again, biotechnology. See, this is another question which attracted me. Enzymes in recombinant. See, why 2 from biotechnology I am showing you is this. That question paper itself contains some learning process. The student need not refer to textbook. Part of the textbook is given to them. It is like an open book testing. The student need not worry that, I have not read that. It is there. From that, he or she has got to make a decision. Which of the following enzyme is used to synthesize DNA using an mRNA template? Answer is C. Okay. I would say this is an excellent question because the learning process also happens and the student can do it after seeing the information which is already given. It is a very higher order thinking question.
Hello.
I underlined that. What is the difference between these 2 statements? The quality only the computer science people can judge. But I am looking at the word that is difference between these 2 statements. So the students are compelled to think at a higher level. I think this sort of questions, computer science and others who find sequence and ask about the output. Instead of asking output in a MCQ, what you can do is give a programming and give something wrong, some kind of statement, so that what will be the output, if it is easy for them to grasp even without a computer. That kind of questions I have seen it. I have not reproduced it, but I'm just suggesting. Now, the next series of questions are on how to convert short answer type to MCQ. See, this is a task that we are always facing. Don't go after ready-made MCQs. Like, you can get a essay type question or a short type of question and put some effort to convert it into a MCQ question. It will be easier, much easier than what you think. I'm showing you one or two examples. One is from bionics. Bionics you may not be having, but don't get bothered about the word jargon. Bionics is nothing but from nature we learn. So something in the nature we see and then associate with something, some kind of learning process. Structural engineering. Again, coming to maybe civil or mechanical. See, what you've seen here is a person, the muscles are shown and holding a ball. Now look at this. Can we use this for teaching the students or evaluating the students on something? What I am asking is, identify the correct free body diagram of the forces acting on the muscles and arm when a ball of 50 Newton is held in the palm. See, we are carrying a lot of weight and all that. We always forget as structural engineers that God's creation of living things, especially human, is the which no engineer can even think of. Very efficient, very frugal with materials. So if you really analyze this, if an engineer can draw a free body diagram, maybe 50% of his problem identification is over. Now what we are asking in this question is, identify the correct free body diagram. We are going to give 3 or 4 free body diagrams. One I am giving. Actually, this is the correct free body diagram. Based on the weight, you see the 50 Newton is coming and the hinge, everything is there. It's a free body diagram. But as a teacher, we can make another 3 or even 2. I think in this thing, don't go above 3. And we are asking the student to identify which is the best, which is the correct free body diagram. And it is easy for the teacher also to make 2 more alternatives. Why? Because there are 3 forces. One going upward, you can show down. And so how even a small thing, bionics, that is what is found in the nature, how we can convert it into as a kind of MCQ, the create level. See, just like it is difficult for you to make evaluate level, in RBT, it is difficult to make a create level. How to make that? So if you can really make it, provided we allow our imagination to fly. In fact, there is something called thought experiments. Many of the things have been invented or discovered by thought experiments. You don't require a lab for that. Very ideal situation for a pandemic situation. For the pandemic, no lab, So imagination is your limitation. Computer architecture, error connecting code function. See, here also I have shown a diagram, and question is illustrate. See, this is normally a short answer question. Illustrate the use of Hamming code on 4-bit words. This I have taken from William Stallings. The advantage with this book is all the chapters are written with objectives, with Bloom's types of objectives. Those in computer science and all that, those are handling it will know. Excellent book. It's in Arcade, page 173. So I've taken this. The beauty of this particular question is that you have got 3 Venn circles, and then there are 4 overlapping things, and each one represents one certain type of error. So you can, this short answer question, you can convert it into a a kind of MCQ. New teachers will find it extremely difficult to frame questions according to the higher order levels. That is why I am spending quite a bit of time in this area. Application oriented applications. In fact, a engineering student should live for application. You remember my second or third slide, where I showed you that commanding substantive knowledge is one side, seeking, finding knowledge, but third is applying it, using the knowledge. So don't you think our MCQs also should have some kind of questions like this? A helicopter lifting a truck. The question is simple, like this. Can you not convert it into a MCQ? You can do that. You can do that. Interdisciplinary. See, somehow we engineers or we teachers, somehow we believe that the artificial compartments which has been made in the engineering colleges for administrative purposes, like mechanical, mechatronics, electrical, electronics, aeronautics, aerodynamics, agriculture science. Most of our knowledge does not know that I should limit within this department. Computer science, then don't go to IT. So unless the teacher take an initiative to talk about interdisciplinary things, you have no right to ask such questions. Assuming that you do that, you dare to cross the artificial borders of discipline, like mechatronics, for instance, mechanical and electronics. Already people are trying to do that. So why not your MCQ also reflect some of these kind of aspect? Now, under COVID, we have become very sensitive to our health problems. We care about our heart, our lungs and all that. So I have given here a typical circuit diagram of how our heart is working, which is converted into known resistance and capacitance and all that. Heart is beating because of just like that. So a problem also is narrated. You remember my earlier question, teacher, you will be appreciated more once they go out of the college. I hope, I'm sure at least 80% of you must have undergone some kind of cognitive change in your thinking. That is what education is meant for, some kind of iota of change. If it has happened, I will be happy. So if you are able to share such kind of experiences with your colleagues, other teachers, you will be doing a service to your students who are your ultimate customer, and survive the new environment of hybrid learning. So if you do that, you will be helping the students also.